Hey up, it's Steve from the old Yorkshire here. You've got a bit of Superman news right now. I'm going to do a Star Trek twist, because you never know. Right, so let's get it up, shall we? But before we start, don't forget, like and subscribe, share the videos, drop a comment, hit the notification bell if you're subscribed already. I'm also on other platforms and all that stuff. Right, let's get on with it. Right, here we go. Superman. James Gunn reveals Superman Legacy title change on first day of filming, and there's a photo of, I presume, presumably the main cast, and there's James Gunn. God knows who the rest are. I know him. He's in what they call it? For All Mankind, isn't he? He's in that. He's going to be Otis, isn't he? I know that. That's what's his face. And that's Thingamabob, and I think he's Superman, isn't he? I don't know. I don't bloody know. Anyway, right, here we go. It's from Variety. Who wrote it? Let's have a look. Zach Schaff. Right, here we go. James Gunn. Is the writing big enough? I'm old, I need big writing. James Gunn announced that February 29th, Leap Day, marked the start of filming on his new Superman movie, which will kick off the rebooted DC universe under the supervision of him and his DC Studios co-boss Peter Safran. Gunn also revealed that his movie, which had been titled Superman Legacy, is now simply called Superman. Quote, overjoyed to be announcing the start of principal photography on Superman today, in all capitals, February 29th, which just so happens to be, coincidentally and unplanned, Superman's birthday, just like they released the remastered Tomb Raider games, on Lara's birthday. Completely unplanned. Gunn wrote in a caption to a photo of what appears to be a close-up of his version of the Superman costume, which I hope we'll see in a moment. When I finished the first draft of the script, I called the film Superman Legacy. By the time I locked the final draft, it was clear the title was Superman, he added, making our way to you July 2025. Again, we've seen this with other films, haven't we? They're announcing films and saying they're coming out in a year. When's that ever happened? I don't know, but films nowadays seem to take 2-3 years to make, don't they? But for some reason, not anymore. David Corenswet, best known for supporting roles in Ryan Murphy shows such as Hollywood, is playing the eponymous superhero opposite the marvellous Miss Maisel, Emmy winner Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane. Nicholas Hoult, that's the fella, is taking on the role of Superman's infamous villain Lex Luthor. Oh, there, that's him there. So he's Lex Luthor, is he? Needs to get that shaved head shadow off, doesn't he? Where were we? While Gunn's cast also includes Skylar Gisondo, Jimmy Olsen, Anthony Carrigan, Metamorpho, Edie Gathegi, Mr. Terrific. I think that's him, isn't it? Him that's in For All Mankind. Nathan Fillion, isn't it? Not Fillion. Nathan Fillion, Guy Gardner, Isabella Mercad, Hawkgirl, and more. Gunn posted the first cast photo on Instagram last week following a table read of the script in Atlanta. Speaking to Variety at the SAG Awards, Brosnahan said it was thrilling to hear Gunn's words aloud. It was pretty amazing, Brosnahan said about the table read. Some of us met for the first time, some of us got to see each other again. It was amazing to hear the script out loud. He just said that. As with all of these films, there's a lot of action sequences and things. Because there's lots of things in films, isn't there? So to hear the pacing of the film and to get to hear these characters occupied by the actors who play them is really fun. It's also a great group. You can't ask for more than that when doing something like this. I have always loved Lois Lane, the actress added. She's smart, ambitious and can be funny. She knows she's the smartest person in the room, just not at spelling. Well, in the Donna films anyway. More often than not, when the opportunity came on, you mean came up? Whatever. I'm such a fan of James Gunn from afar. There's James Gunn over there. We're still finding these characters. We haven't started shooting yet. 29th. You'll meet the final version of them. Superman is set to open in theatres July 11th, 2025 from Warner Brothers. That's only like a year and a bit away, isn't it? I mean, we're in March now, 2024. Just started filming. Are all the visual effects done? Maybe they are. And here's the close-up of the logo. Bit snowy, is it? The Fortress of Solitude. I'm sick to death of this cloth, whatever. You know, make it look like carbon fibre or something like that. Don't they? Why? What's up with just having just regular, a regular, you know, smooth pattern? I wonder they didn't have it made of tiny little S's, innit? I bet it is. If you look close, I bet it is. Oh, there we go. That's it. So there we go. Now, this is where I go Star Trek. Why has he changed the name to Superman? Just Superman. I'm surprised I haven't called it The Superman. But you never know. Maybe that'll change. It gets me thinking about Star Trek Legacy. You know, I talk about Star Trek Legacy a bit in my live streams. Hashtag Star Trek Legacy. The series all Star Trek fans worth their salt want to see. We don't want to see Starfleet Academy. We don't really want to see Section 31. We want to see Star Trek Legacy with the TNG cast, or some of them, and, you know, 7 of 9, Captain 7 of 9, aboard the Titan A, not the Enterprise G, the Titan A. That's what we want to see. So it makes me wonder, has something happened behind the scenes? Probably not, you know, but I'm just pondering out loud. Has something happened behind the scenes? Has Paramount perchance, you know, copyrighted the legacy word? Or maybe he didn't want to... Maybe James Gunn, maybe he knows something. Maybe he's spoken to people behind the scenes. Maybe he's got friends at Paramount or whatever, or CBS. And they said, we've got Star Trek Legacy coming in mid-2025. You know, could you change the name of your film so we're not tripping over each other with the legacy name? Don't know. Probably not, but it just makes me wonder. But speaking of Star Trek Legacy, let's move on, shall we? So I'll get rid of... we'll move on. Here we go. This is from Red Shirts Always Die, from Chad Porto. Is the lack of a Star Trek Legacy spin-off a sign that Star Trek Picard didn't bring in strong viewing numbers? I don't know where they worked that out. Could the lack of viewership for Star Trek Picard be the reason we don't have Star Trek Legacy yet? Speaking of Star Trek Legacy. But I don't know where they get this lack of... didn't bring in strong viewing numbers. It was the first Star Trek series of the modern Star Treks to break into the Nielsen top 10, wasn't it? What are the Nielsen? Either Nielsen or was it Sam, but whatever. The first one to do that. But maybe the article will tell us. There's 7 of 9, and there's Todd Stashwick as Captain Thingamabob, Captain Shaw. I didn't like. Everybody says, oh, we love Captain Shaw. I didn't like him. That writing's too small. Make it bigger. There we go. Right. Oh, cracky. Excuse me. It's fair to say that terrestrial television never should have been abandoned for streaming, pretty much. Not only are there health concerns with streaming from how much someone consumes, the need for instant gratification only getting worse, and other issues from that stem from overconsumption of products, but the specialness is gone. The slow appreciation and excitement that came in week after week, tuning into our favourite programmes at the times they premiered. Sure, we weren't able to instantly gratify an itch as easily, but there was more appreciation for things, fans stuck around longer, and shows made more money in turn. Yeah, that's the Netflix dump them all at once thing, isn't it? You know, every episode, the whole season drops at once. But they're moving away from that now, are they? And I think all the Star Treks so far that have aired on streaming have been weekly releases. So you can't make that argument, really, can you? You can't. They have all been weekly releases, not dropping them all at once. Anyway. Then streaming came along and killed so much wonderfulness for all the sake of instantaneous gratification. Now we no longer own what we buy, we're just renting it until the streaming provider decides they can make more by licensing it out to a competitor than by keeping it on their platform. Looking at you mostly, Amazon. In short, streaming sucks. Not only does it impact our day-to-day in an unhealthy manner, but it also has overly quantified the amount of content people can watch. We thought it was bad when cable had 100 channels. Now there's a near infinite amount of content to consume. It's staggering. Due to such an abundance of options, viewership is down across the board for shows, because it's too spread out, isn't it? Before, you'd be able to funnel audiences of a certain type to a certain channel, and you'd know what you could expect from that. Now it's all up in the air. It's partly why streaming is now dying. I won't say it's dying, it's becoming polarised, isn't it? They diluted the audience so much that no show or platform is really getting the viewership that they need to survive. It's why so many streaming services are merging or shutting down. Paramount Plus, currently the home of Star Trek, or for Star Trek, is no different. Viewership isn't good, and it's why so many platforms are leaning on live television to save themselves. Didn't work with Star Trek though, did it? Remember when it used to be CBS All Access, Paramount Plus? That's when Star Trek Discovery first aired, and I think by season 3 of Star Trek Discovery, they decided to air season 1 on the regular CBS terrestrial whatever channel, open, free to air thing, and it came plumb last, didn't it? It would even been outviewed, by game shows and comedy show repeats and stuff like that. So that didn't work, did it? Anyway, for Paramount Plus, it's the NFL. For Peacock, it's the Premier League, the WWE, and sometimes the NFL. The English Premier League, is that what they're talking about? Soccer, is that what they're talking about? More and more streaming services are looking to add a sports package because fans show up for live sports, even on television. This trend is only being done because traditional content isn't drawing the eyes anymore. Well, it depends, though, doesn't it? It depends what content we're talking about. Some things do. Stranger Things, for instance. There's the occasional big show that crops up, which is what it were like on regular TV, wasn't it? Walking Dead, etc. It's not because Game of Thrones, blah blah blah. It's not because the scripted content is hard to watch, though some of it is. It's because there's too much of it. There are too many studios splitting too many viewers across too many platforms. I agree. It's why when something hits, we get endless sequels and seasons of it. Hello, the Kissing Booth trilogy. I've no idea what they're talking about here. I've no idea what the Kissing Booth trilogy is. I don't know. But it's true. There's too many shows. There's lots of shows you've never heard of that get spent hundreds of millions of dollars on them. There was that one on Amazon, wasn't there? Which I forgot what it's called. It was a sci-fi one. I didn't watch it. I didn't know anything about it. And then before I knew it, I think it had been cancelled. And it was something like the most expensive show ever made, up to Rings of Power. I'm not on about that one. Another one. I forgot what it's called. Never mind. And nobody watched it. It had big stars in it and all that. Because they don't advertise them either very well. They don't seem to anyway. For the most part. It's because there's too many of them. There's too many shows. There's too much original content. Because they're that desperate to get original content. That fans, viewers aren't really interested in, to be honest. We want to watch things that we've seen before, mostly, don't we? Which is why on Netflix, I just watch Star Trek in the UK. Star Trek's on Netflix in the UK. Classic Star Trek is on Netflix in the UK, and I just watch that, pretty much, until something like Stranger Things or whatever comes along, and then I'll watch that. But mostly, I don't watch any other new stuff. I just watch the stuff that makes me comfortable. What they call it. It's like a warm blanket stuff. Things that make you happy. Anyway, so it's not out of the realm of believability that the reason we haven't gotten that word Star Trek Legacy is because its predecessor Star Trek Picard didn't pull in the numbers needed for Legacy to happen. Except it did. And it's got a bunch of awards as well. The Yellowstone franchise is still pumping out sequel series. That's on Paramount Plus, isn't it? Which is really good. Why has that's one that I did hear. I've never seen any adverts for it, or never, billboards or anything like that. But I've heard people talk about it. That's what happens with streaming. They don't rely on advertising; they rely on word of mouth for series to catch on. So that's why stuff like Yellowstone and Tulsa King and shows like that take off and get more viewers than other series. Reacher, for instance. Through word of mouth rather than advertising. Anyway, why has Star Trek slowed down? Clearly, we only got Strange New Worlds because Paramount Plus had the money to finance it, and there were fans got behind it, didn't they? There were online what they call them, petitions, weren't there, to get Anson Mountain as Captain Pike, and that's why they did it. And there's been an even bigger one which has over 60,000 signatures. I think the Strange New Worlds of the Captain Pike series petition only got something like 30,000 signatures or something like that. The the Star Trek Legacy petition, the big one, has over 60,000, I think 64,000 or something like that, signatures. But Alex Kurtzman doesn't want to know. He doesn't want to know. But anyway, this was before the venture capitalist groups and banks that owned the debt for these platforms came calling to get their money back. Yeah, fair enough. Once these giant platforms had to start paying their own bills, new content dried up. Star Trek Discovery were essentially paid for by Netflix. Up to season 3. Netflix essentially paid for Star Trek Discovery up to season 3, which is why, it costs so much. But they stumped the bill for Star Trek Discovery. I don't know seasons 4 and 5. I don't know who's paying for that. Maybe they had some money left over of the Netflix money. I don't know. But anyway. Where were we? Popular but not popular enough, shows were cancelled, corners were cut and content was minimalised. If a show wasn't earning X amount of viewers, the streaming service would cut it. Is that what happened to Legacy? On Netflix, the rule of thumb, apparently, is if a show loses half of its viewers from the first episode to the last episode, it gets cancelled. Which is quite annoying, because then you get some series that are getting really good, such as Santa Clarita Diet, which I loved, suddenly gets cancelled on the cliffhanger, and that happens a lot on Netflix. So because the viewerships drop, which is sad. But that also happens in terrestrial TV. But that's usually caused by bad showing it in a bad time slot and stuff like that. Famously happened with the original series of Star Trek, didn't it? They started putting it on Friday nights and stuff like that, when everybody's out getting drunk, rather than sitting and watching science fiction. Anyway, Dave Meltzer, a famed pro wrestling journalist and a man who has endless connections in streaming and television, recently highlighted a major issue with streaming. He cited that the reason why we don't get authentic viewership numbers and instead hours watched is because shows aren't doing great. This is what he said. You're now making things up. There's a reason streaming services are trying to avoid Nielsen, and it's not because individual shows are doing so great. That's a reply to this fella. There are probably 200 Netflix shows. They get more viewers than AEW Dynamite, a wrestling show, on a typical Wednesday night. It's calling it a number one show reveals a disconnect with the reality of TV in 2024. But I think AEW Dynamite does get the most viewers, on TNT on the night. So that's probably, why they call it the number one show. It's the same with the rest of that Raw and SmackDown. I think on the night, I think they're the number one shows on, the channels that they broadcast on. But anyway, it's easy to see that Picard has 100 million hours watched this past week, but how many people watched it? When we get reports like that, where X show had 100 million hours viewed, or however many hours, it usually encompasses the entire release franchise. In Picard's case, that's 3 seasons worth, 30 episodes in total. If we split the difference and go conservative, that's 1,500 minutes of content between 30 episodes at least. If you do the math, or as we say in the UK, maths, because it's mathematics, it's not mathematic, but anyway, whatever. And assume one person is watching the entire series, that comes up to under 67,000 people watching your show, meaning that it's very easy to see that most streaming shows, not just Picard, are probably garnering under 1 million viewers per episode after the show drops. Considering that the show will never be more relevant than when it airs, it's important to get as many eyes on the product at the jump as possible. Very rarely does a show or film find a second life years after debuting, and when it does, it's organic through the fandom, not through some campaign of corporate ideas and synergy. So what they should do, I think that some have done it. I think like HBO does it, doesn't it? Airs debuts things on Max and on the HBO channel, over the air channel at the same time. They should do that with Star Trek stuff, or with any big series that you've got. If you've got an over-the-air channel like CBS has, which owns Paramount Plus. They should, put the shows on, and the first episode and see how many viewers it gets. That's what they should do. They probably won't, because it probably costs money. So if Legacy was going to happen, the most likely of time for it to have been announced was just after Picard. Marina Sirtis clearly doesn't think the show is happening. No, well, a lot of them don't. John Delancey, Michael Dorn, they don't think it's going to happen. And while you may think she's trolling fans so we can have a big announcement, nothing hurts a show more than people throwing cold water on its potential. If people think the show isn't happening, then they stop paying attention and go about their time. So if Sirtis knew the show was happening, she sure put her foot in her mouth. Not the first time. It's not the first time for Marina to do that. Blaming the weather on Republican voters, for instance. She's mental. And she's British, so what's she talking about it for? Maybe she's probably a naturalised American, born in Britain. Whatever. And we believe her when she says she doesn't think it'll happen. And the why, I don't know. I suspect it might not happen, but as I said earlier, maybe it will. Maybe James Gunn changed the name of his Superman film because he knows something about Star Trek Legacy. It's coming out in the middle of 2025. Is it? Probably not. Clickbait title coming up. I forgot what I want now. Shows like Star Trek Picard just start getting the viewership they need to justify big budgeted sequels. Thing is though, Star Trek Picard Season 3, which was easily the best of the Star Trek Picard seasons, Season 1 didn't hate, apart from the final episode. I know it had problems. Season 2 was just garbage, apart from the first episode. But the rest of it was just garbage. Had huge budgets, apparently. It's like, I don't know, $8 to $10 million per episode, something like that. Maybe more, I don't know. Season 3 apparently had a budget, something like $1 million per episode, which is nothing. And it was the best. It was easily the best of the 3 seasons, because they were essentially bottle shows. It were all on ships. They didn't go on any planets, did they? They were all on ships. So they just had the standing sets. They didn't have to bother going on location and stuff like that. Which is why, it didn't cost as much. It helped. Anyway, right, I forgot where we're now. Truthfully, not many shows are the dilution of entertainment across a dozen or so streaming services, each promising endless entertainment, has given fans so many options that no one thing can really find room to breathe. So they're going crazy for new content, aren't they? It's why Netflix paid a metric crap ton for WWE's Monday Night Raw programme, and internationally, everything else from WWE. Does that mean this is the end of the WWE network, if I can say it, in 2025? Probably. It's weekly, it's easy to produce, and it has millions of viewers who follow it from network to network. Does that mean, is it going to be ad-free on Netflix then? Because Netflix obviously doesn't show ads, does it? Usually. Unless you're on the lowest tier. But if you're on the higher tier, does that mean it's not going to get ads? I don't know. Or is it still going to... Are they going to cut to commercials just as normal? I bet they do. Even if Netflix is getting into the live sports arena, what hope does Paramount Plus have to keep funding super expensive shows that cost hundreds of millions of dollars to make, apart from Star Trek Picard Season 3, which didn't, but barely bring in a tenth of the viewership they need? Legacy may still happen, we can't see the future, and we don't have industry ties. Like me, I'm just guessing. It very well may, yet we need to remind everyone that franchises like Star Trek don't get their budget slashed, projects cancelled or delayed time and time again if things are going well financially. We know that things aren't going well financially for Paramount Global, and super expensive shows with low turnouts like Star Trek are usually the first casualty of cost cutting. Well, don't spend a shit ton of money on it then. I refer my lud to the aforementioned Star Trek Picard Season 3, which cost a fraction of the other Star Trek shows that we're watching. And I love Star Trek Strange New Worlds, I really do. I know it's got problems, I know it's messing about with canon and stuff like that, but there's something about it, I just love watching it. Maybe it's the chicks, I don't know, but whatever. I love it. not a big fan of Discovery, although I did enjoy Discovery Season 1 because it was new and I just wanted to know what was going to happen next. But I did have problems with it. Klingons, ships, etc. But after that, you know, I kind of fell out with it. But anyway, and Picard Seasons 1 and 2 were just horrible, mostly. But Star Trek Prodigy were fine. Star Trek Lower Decks, although I hated it to begin with, because I think it was too different for me, and it was a comedy, and it just annoyed me. After a while, I actually started enjoying it, and now I'm really looking forward to each new season of Lower Decks. And I'm now a fan of the California class starship. I think they're amazing. I want one. But anyway, right, we're hopeful that fans can get more shows, but with the state of the industry, we'd be cautious to hope too much. There we go. But as I said, I think generally, yes, streaming does dilute the viewership because there's too many different shows and films that are coming up on streaming services that you don't even know about. I mean, they try the best, I suppose, do the streamers. It's why they have like an algorithm, don't they, that show you what they think you might be interested in, and I suppose that's their way of advertising, isn't it? But we don't see adverts on TV very much. Occasionally there is, but you don't see very many adverts on TV for a new show that's coming on Netflix or Paramount or whatever. You do occasionally, but not very often. Same with the we don't see many billboards. Not round here anyway. Maybe you do in places like Hollywood and that, but not round here. In the wilds of West Yorkshire. Anyway, so... but I'm going to go back to Star Trek Legacy and Superman Legacy. That's my prediction. That's my prediction. It's probably wrong, but my prediction is Star Trek Legacy is coming mid-2025. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. They could all be blowing smoke up our bottom, saying it's not happening, and it really is. Or it could just be me blowing smoke up my own bottom, if I could bend that far. Thinking this, but I want to believe it. I want to be Hecklefish. Go watch the Y-Files. I want to be Hecklefish and believe everything that's joyous and happy. So that's what I'm going to predict. Star Trek Legacy is coming mid-2025, and that's why James Gunn changed the name of his film from Superman Legacy to just Superman. I bet it gets changed to The Superman at some point, or maybe that'll be the sequel. But we will see, won't we, in a year and a half-ish, just under. Will we start seeing, in the next few months, will we start seeing Star Trek Legacy tidbits coming out? I don't know. I'm hopeful. But as I've said before, I don't have connections in the film industry. I'm just guessing. I'm wrong all the time. You could set your watch to how wrong I am, if that makes sense. I don't know. But anyway, we'll leave it there. We will leave it there. Right. So, as I said earlier, clickbait title coming. Oh dear. But we'll leave it there. So, Star Trek Legacy coming mid-2025. You heard it here first. Giggle. I don't know. We'll see. Right. So we'll leave it there. So, thanks for watching. Wherever you are, look after each other. And until next time, I'll see thee.